held me back when I tried to move on from your lies, and you stole my life with clarity. So hold me back, now you're here, 'cause I'm mad, show no fear. Wanna let you know just how it felt. Oh no, 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 no. Don't you think we could? There's a way we could be. No, oh no, 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 no. I know the way you look at me, I know it too well. Now I'm bulletproof, you might find you're gone, but I'm flying high. I'm bulletproof, don't let me touch the ground. You can never bring me down. You can never bring me down. Can never bring me down. 'Cause I'm bulletproof. Yeah, I'm bulletproof. We've been up, we've been down, trying to figure things out. End up losing myself in it. But I'm done being done. Gotta end it all now. I won't ever turn it round again. Oh no, 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 no. Don't you think we could? There's a way we could be. No, oh no, 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 no. I know the way you look at me, I know it too well. Now I'm bulletproof, you might find you're gone, but I'm flying high. I'm bulletproof, don't let me touch the ground. You can never bring me down. You can never bring me down. Can never bring me down. Cause I'm bulletproof. Cause I'm bulletproof. Cause I'm bulletproof. Yeah, I'm bulletproof. You might find you're gone, but I'm flying high. I'm bulletproof, don't let me touch the ground. You can never bring me down. You can never bring me down. Can never bring me down. Now I'm bulletproof, you might find you're gone, but I'm flying high. I'm bulletproof, don't let me touch the ground. You can never bring me down. You can never bring me down. Can never bring me down. 'Cause I'm bulletproof. Yeah, I'm bulletproof. 'Cause I'm bulletproof.
Hello, everyone. How are you? How is everyone? Shivadilly, you caught alive. Yes, I'm back. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. I'm actually exhausted because I went out last night on a date and I had a lot to drink, and I've literally just been in bed all day trying to get over my hangover. But I was like, I have gone too long without doing a podcast, so I dragged myself out of bed finally and managed to get some slides together. There's a lot to go through because I haven't been on for a few days, but thank you so much for your patience. Today's actually my last night in Lisbon, so thank you so much, all of you, for your well wishes and your sweet messages. I'll see you in Adams. I'm new to this channel, but I love your content. Oh, thank you so much for joining. Yeah, thank you so much for your prayers of safety. And I'm so glad to actually to be back talking. I do miss it when I'm not on, but it's just like I scheduled podcasts and then I just didn't have the energy. I don't know. I think it's like after a month of being on vacay, like you do actually get tired, like sightseeing and everything. And I was still writing my book. So thank you all for your patience. And thank you, mods, also. Zambi, Scottish fam, long time. Yes. Okay, welcome, everyone. I'm not going to spend too long on intros because there's a lot to get through today. And I'm actually, thank you, Gentle Kisses, I'm actually thinking of doing a second podcast, again, later on today, after Baron's podcast, to talk about the royal expenses, because I think that deserves its own video. But I want to talk about all of the things that I've missed and just give my quick 2 cents on each thing. But yeah, I've been having a great time. Lisbon is 100% recommended. I got another tattoo. I try to get tattoos like when I travel. Um, and this one really, really meant something to me. I got the stag symbol on my arm, and it represents maturity, regeneration, spiritual enlightenment. That's where I feel like I am right now in my life. Habib and Pal, I'm not sure what I'm missing, but glad you're back. Thank you. I'm glad to be back. So yeah, that's what I've been doing. Right, on to Sussex news. Let's speed through these because some of them you've probably already heard about over the last few days, but I just wanted to give my 2 cents quickly. So Delphina posted this on her Instagram. So making it very, very clear that she is here for Harry and Meghan. She said, I'm looking forward to many more of these times with you and H. Getting to spend together over these 2 months was so special. I wish everyone knew the way that you are, my sister. So it's like the same way that Nacho talks about Harry. My now fellow pillow wife, genius, you came up with this. That's so funny. Can't wait to see you again soon to share thrill, hikes, and just more chill time. You also have my respect. Keep walking, steady and strong. Listen to your heart. That will guide you well because you have a big one and it's a beautiful one. I love you, my darling. And I think this just breaks down the narrative that Harry and Meghan are isolated, that they have no friends. They've been trying to, they being the British press, are trying to create this narrative that they're isolated, that nobody likes them, they don't have support. It's very, very clear from where I'm standing that they have a huge support from the community where they're living. And this is a community where very high profile people go to find privacy and to find a community when you have reached a level of, I think, stardom and influence where it can actually make it quite difficult just to be around the average person. So I'm so glad that Meghan has this support system, and no matter what the British press want to throw at her and Harry, she's got people that have her back, and it's great to now actually see her friends speaking out and writing and posting things like this on their social media, because we know while Meghan was in the firm, they couldn't do this. Also in Santa Barbara, the Daily Mail clearly have stalkers in the area. There was this article that came out about an obstetrician that apparently closed her practice, and they're claiming that this is the lady who helped deliver Lilibet. They have absolutely no evidence that this is the lady that helped deliver Lilibet. So, and also, I don't know why it's anybody's business, but the reason I bring up this story is because in the comment section of this story, there were so many conspiracy theories that the practice is closing down because Lilibet either isn't a real baby or Lilibet is somebody else's baby. And it's just disgusting to see that the Daily Mail is allowing these conspiracies to foster in their comment section and basically egging these theories on. And they also have someone trailing the Sussexes at all time. So there was a picture of Meghan, Harry, and Janina, who is a longtime friend of Meghan, apparently going to Oprah's house. And this, of course, triggered the British press. They did all they can to cause a stir, calling Janina an Iranian activist to oversee the charity's growth strategy. And you know that they use Iranian activists on purpose to trigger their racist base. And they also misidentified Janina because, of course, she's not an Iranian activist. She is an actress and a model. And as Pagan said, The fail identified Meghan's friend Janina as the CEO, Mandana. Oh, so there were actually several changes to the article where they identified her as an Iranian activist and also as Mandana, who is Archwell CEO. And the two women don't really look that alike. I mean, a little bit from a distance. But as Pagan said, it's to maintain that they have no friends narrative and to make the visit look like a business, not social call. And that's literally could be what it was. It could have been a social call. Definitely, if they're taking Janina to Oprah's house, this would not be a business meeting. This looks like a very social event. And there's nothing to say that they were the only ones that went to visit Oprah that day. I think that they are very paranoid about potentially a second Oprah interview, even though there's no suggestion that there will ever be a second Oprah interview, at least not in the immediate future. But every time Oprah comes up, they panic. So they're obviously very scared of what Harry and Meghan could say and could reveal, because we know that whatever it is we do know about what happened in the firm was only a small fraction. And with Harry's book coming up, that's got them very, very nervous. What was even more interesting was that this story about Harry and Meghan going to Oprah's house got more shares and more comments than Prince Charles, facing questions over him accepting $1 million in cash stuffed inside a suitcase. So these people care more about Harry and Meghan go to their neighbour's house than they do about the future King of England taking very dodgy cash from other international leaders. Okay, let's go to comments before we carry on, because you've said quite a lot. Thank you so much, Sandy, for the welcome. There. Thank you so much, Gentle Kisses. The tattoo's healing quite well. Shepherd Sandy, hello. I was getting worried not seeing you post videos, but I'm glad you're back. Oh, thank you so much. I have still been posting on like my personal Insta and on Twitter, so I've still been around. B Sam Powell, oh, tattoo's painful. I'm scared of needles. The simple answer to that is yes, but it depends on your pain threshold and where you get the tattoo done, how big the tattoo is, how long it takes. So where I got it done on my wrist, there's a lot of nerve endings there, and the skin is very thin. So it did hurt, and I don't have a very great pain threshold. So I know that it is going to hurt, but it depends on you. Wendy, you couldn't miss a podcast sneaking in. Thank you so much for your welcome back. I actually can't believe how much has happened in just a few days. You know, I tell people all the time, I do a podcast about the royals, and they're like, what do you talk about every day? And you honestly, unless you're in this royal bubble, you wouldn't believe that something happened every day. Gentle Kisses, I always wanted a tattoo, but I'm 70 and scared. Well, you know what? This is probably the best time to get it done in your life, because now you'll get something really meaningful. Okay. Sandy, hey, Lady Anne, did you get any of the cash from any cloaked individuals? Not while I was here, no. Yes, Maggie, the amount of people claiming Lilibet isn't real, or somebody else's baby, or secretly has Down syndrome and she's a double, it's so weird. Legs, has anyone noticed that the campaign here in the USA, while checking out today, US pro-royal family in touch in the Star, who were pro-Voldemort for and negative for H&M? I have noticed in the last few days, yes, and thank you so much for your super chat, much appreciated. I have noticed them pushing a lot more now, just because they're trying to distract from the fake bullying report. They're trying to distract from Charles and his money shenanigans. I saw a report, I think it was yesterday, about Charles meeting Lilibet and Archie, and there's absolutely no evidence to say that he did. And I don't believe for a second, unless it comes directly from Harry or Meghan, who have not said that the kids met Charles. Unless it comes from them, I'm not going to believe that he did. And I'm not going to believe that someone who cut off security Hang on one sec, guys. Gosh, the ambulances are like 5 times louder here in Portugal than anything I've ever heard. Like they want to let you know we are coming through. Yeah. So anyway, I was saying, um, I'm not going to believe that somebody that cut off security for his grandchildren and his son and wife got to see them, unless I hear it from Harry and Meghan themselves. Hort, Lexi, the British media has been speculating after the Oprah interview. Oprah has been distancing herself. No, they did not. Hort, Lexi, you are a troll. How do you know that the Sussexes lied? Oprah is a smart lady. There's absolutely no way that she would have given them airtime if it wasn't the truth. And there's receipts, okay? So you can just go. Constance, my parents were BWI. BW, what does that mean? The history I learnt from my parents different from US public echoes. I predicted Harry would marry a sister. So when my sister informed me about Meghan, you were happy. I saw the signs quite some time ago, actually, so I'm not surprised. Mary, I have 2 tattoos. They both hurt me. One, my first, I almost stopped in the middle. Really, it's all on how you manage pain. It is. Breathe deeply. Oh, thank you so much, Kenneth. I missed you all as well. Cindy, the US tabloids may be pro-Cambridge, but US tabloids are a joke here, indeed. And I do think eventually, like People magazine, they will go towards the pro-Harry and Meghan side eventually. They'll see some sense because it will affect the bottom line. Lottie, I really don't believe that Charles met Archie and Lilibet until I see photos. Exactly the same. All right. So over in Scotland, Nicola Sturgeon has proposed a Scottish independence referendum to be held on the 19th of October. And as Omer tweeted, a day after setting on October 2023 date for the proposed Scottish independence referendum, First Minister Nicola Sturgeon has met with the Queen at the Palace of Holyrood House. Sturgeon gifted Her Majesty with a bottle of Johnny Walker Blue Label whiskey. Is that shade? Is that shade to give an old lady whiskey? That just comes across as very shady to me. and I love the shade if it is shade. But yeah, so there, Scottish independence, and I can imagine that. So what I'm not clear about is whether or not the royal household will be part of that independence vote. But I can imagine if Scotland does get independence politically, then the next thing will be independence from the monarchy, naturally. Okay, in some other news, Ghislaine Maxwell was sentenced. And I find it disgusting that she's the only person in the situation who has been sentenced. The powerful men who were involved, we don't even know, or we unofficially know their names, but we don't know their names in an official capacity. But we know some of the people that were involved. Royals, businessmen, so-called billionaire, emphasis on the word bill, so-called philanthropists, celebrities, athletes, you name it. A lot of people involved. And something almost tells me that we might never know in an official capacity. And potentially, I don't know what really through the courts can be done, because I think the courts are compromised. And I don't mean to come across as extreme. I'm not trying to egg anyone on here, but I'm also just being real and looking at history on what's happened in history, when you have situations of corruption like this, I think the only way that you could really get to the bottom of this and hold people accountable is some kind of mass revolt. Because at this point, I mean, unless anybody else can tell me what can be done, because these are very, very, very powerful, very, very rich people, and they'll do anything to keep themselves from being held accountable. Ghislaine's lawyer has absolutely insisted that she is not suicidal. What's interesting is that obviously a lot of people remember that Epstein supposedly suicided himself. But also another associate of Epstein, while he was in jail, a French associate, also suicided himself. So I think it really speaks volumes that her lawyers are insisting, absolutely insisting, that she's not suicidal. And it's going to be interesting to see where this goes, if she speaks. And if she does speak, what's going to come of it? What are people going to do? Because scandals like this happen all the time, and people don't really take mass action. So, other good news, though, at least justice is happening somewhere. R. Kelly was also sentenced, finally, to 30 years in a trafficking case. So he's going to be a very, very, very old man when he gets out. And glad to see justice, especially in this case, because so many, or pretty much all the victims actually, that I know of, were young Black girls. Justice in one space, at least. On some more positive news, we saw Harry and Meghan at the polo with many of their friends. And one of them, I forget this guy's name, I think it's Hussein, but he's a poet. He's collaborated with Meghan before. I think he was on the very first Archwell podcast that they did, the special. And it's great to actually see Meghan with more of her friends and a diverse group of friends. And that's going to be great for Archie and Lily to grow up around diverse people. I thought Anne Boleyn's tweet was really, really funny. She says, anti-Meghan trolls be like, Meghan is just jealous that she won't be on the cover of Devonshire Horse and Hay magazine when Wills becomes king. She's angry that her children's faces won't be on Tesco's royal collectible bag of Jersey potatoes when Charles ascends to the throne. And this is really how these royalists think. They really think that Meghan, who's had friends like this for years, and actually the bottom photo was taken many years ago, so they've known each other for some time. The top photo was more recent at the polo. So they really think that this woman, who lives such an incredible life, is jealous of that she won't be on the cover of Horse and Hay. It's hilarious. Okay. Let's see. Marina, I wonder if she gave someone her black book. They need to be exposed. Well, unofficially, a lot of them have been. But, you know, the systems that we have in place are failing to hold these people to justice. Miss B talks, and we don't even know if Jeffrey Epstein is dead. No one saw a funeral or body. I don't believe he's dead. That's an interesting conspiracy. I never actually thought of that. Never thought of that. And so many men are involved. She needs to get that black book out. She's an idiot because she's doing time for all she deserves to be locked up till she kicks the bucket. Yeah. But everyone who she helped needs to be thrown in jail also. Catherine, we are seeing more blacks at the Cambridges lately, trying to make friends with blacks when they tour our country. I mean, as props for PR, yes, but I wouldn't say friends. I don't expect to see any people of colour as friends, and quite frankly, I wouldn't really want any people of colour to be near them. Get Out was a great movie. We don't need a sequel. Wendy, shout out to Kadaji Brown Jackson, sworn in. Oh, was she officially sworn in? That's incredible. Shout out to her. First black woman in the Supreme Court. I hope she brings some useful change. Ginger, she's taken the fall for a lot of powerful men. Don't be surprised if she's out 5 years after 5 years of good behaviour. Yeah, I won't be surprised either. Disgusting. Okay. Oh, thank you very much, Gentle Kisses, for the super sticker. Much appreciated. Marina, 30 years. These pirates think they can get away with it. I honestly think that for sexual offences, you should be given life. Because for victims of sexual offences, it is a lifetime sentence. It's very difficult to ever fully get over trauma. So I believe that they should get life. Jiffy Dilly, why is Andrew still free? That's a very good question. Okay, next one. Okay, so over in the US, obviously the situation with Roe v. Wade. Abortion is always a topic that brings about many feelings. All I'm going to say is you can never stop abortion, just safe abortions. And middle to higher income women will always have access to abortion. It's actually just poor women that this is going to affect. And the social consequences of this are written in the history books. If you, because I don't think that this is going to stop just at putting more restrictive abortion laws. I think it's also going to expand to birth control. And, once you give the government an inch to tell you what you can and can't do, they run a mile. And so I know that there are a lot of people pushing back. It's very shocking that this would be happening in the US. I mean, even countries like Ireland legalized abortion. And Meghan did sit down for a lovely interview to talk about this with Gloria Steinem. And it's great to be able to see her just walk in her activism without feeling sorry about it, without thinking twice, because she wouldn't be able to do this if she wasn't a fan. Jose Andreas, who of course is the head of World Central Kitchen, did tweet his thoughts, and he said, my wife is a devoted Catholic, I'm a Catholic. We may have our own personal views of what we would do if we had to make a decision, but our decision is ours and private. We'll always support every woman to own the right to make her own decisions, abortion rights or human rights. So it's great to see someone who the squad actually have helped a lot come out for the reproductive rights of women. And it's great to see Meghan, again, teaming up with Gloria, who really is the global face in many ways of kind of third wave American feminism. And we know that Gloria and Meghan did an interview some time ago, just after they moved to Montecito. And Meghan said, I'm glad to be home. And Gloria said, oh, we're happy to have you home. And that was a very nice moment. And a lot of people have been pointing out some of the hypocrisies. Now, there was a girl who tweeted a Republican senator who said, I'm proud that Arizona has been ranked the most pro-life state in the country. She then retweeted with a comment saying, your son made me take Plan B after we hooked up, but carry on. And then several journalists have now been tweeting to anyone who has had a pro-life politician who's supporting the overturning of Roe versus Wade, if they've ever paid for your abortion, come and talk about it. And we know that there are anti-abortion politicians whose mistresses they've paid for their abortion. So a lot of these people are hypocrites. None of the politicians talking about this have said a word about male responsibility, as one commentator said. And as Robert Raitt rightly said, forced birth in a country with no universal healthcare, no universal childcare, no paid family leave, medical leave, one of the highest rates of maternal mortality among rich nations. This isn't about life, it's about control. And it's really going to affect Black and brown women, who have some of the highest homicide rates during pregnancy and the postpartum period. This is a study that was done, and it came to the conclusion that homicide is the leading cause of death during pregnancy and postpartum period in the United States. Pregnancy and the postpartum period are times of elevated risk for homicide amongst all females of reproductive age. But it also said that pregnancy was associated with significantly elevated homicide risk in the Black population and amongst girls and younger women. So, when men don't want to have kids, they can often take it into their own hands. And this is the result. So the social, racial consequences of this is going to be, in many ways, if you've read your history books, you know how this is going to end. In communist Romania, they launched a decree. I think it was called Decree 770, if you want to read up about it. And essentially what happened is they took away abortion rights, they took away contraception, and then you had an explosion of obviously babies being born. And then those young people, when they grew to about their 20s, they were the same group of people that actually ousted the government. So essentially, by taking away abortion and contraception, the government created an army that kicked them out. So it's going to be interesting to see how this backfires on the United States. And on both sides of the Atlantic, in the UK and the US, you have conservative politicians. Jacob Rees-Mogg, this annoying individual, trying to be as nice as possible so I don't get censored. He is anti-abortion, even in situations of rape, but he profits from the sale of abortion pills because he's invested in the company that makes them. So, you can see the hypocrisy from these men and a lot of the Republican men and their views on rape. And, these are the people who are making these laws. It is truly gross. I won't even read some of them out. You can see them on the screen. But that is all I have to say really about Roe versus Wade. Sorry if you're, in the States and this is something that may affect you. Let's see. Miss B talks, what's happening here to the Tories don't believe in abortion. I think here in the United Kingdom, even conservatives don't really talk about this. Like Jacob Rees-Mogg is the only conservative I've heard talk about it like really, really openly. I don't think that you can run as a conservative prime minister and say that you're against abortion, because conservatives here on matters like that are a little bit more socially liberal. Patricia, did we wrap up the donations? I don't know if it stopped, but the last time I checked, it was like 111K. So well done to the squad. Just Chief Dilly, sell the politicians out. Annie Bullard, our choices are our own. Don't trample on my rights. We can agree to disagree. Amen. I agree with that. I just think if you don't want to have an abortion, then just don't have an abortion. It's really up to you. And I also heard that there's some states already where it's legal to like marry someone who's under the age of 18. I think actually in some states from the age of 12. And there are some I think there are some states that are actually trying to lower the age of consent to get married even more. And there's loopholes in some states that some people use to trap young girls. So it's just kind of wild for the way things are going in the US. Marina, midterm elections are in November. Voting is the only way to change all of this. Vote all these politicians out. Or Marina, I had a very controversial debate, debate with voting on Twitter. I just don't believe that voting and politicians are the end all and be all to galvanizing change, because you can say that, but I look at politics in the last 10, 20 years, like what actually had, I mean, some things have changed for the better, but so many things are going backwards. So you've been voting for the last 10 or 20 years, but things are still kind of going backwards. So yeah, I guess voting is the first step, but there's got to be other things that we can do. I think somebody give a, I'm so sorry. I think somebody did give a super chat, but I think I missed it. So I'm sorry to that person if I missed you. Ginger Lily, what do you think about the news of Boris colleague walking him in on him getting a blowjob from his then mistress, now wife Carrie? I think that this is exactly what I expect from these people. They're shameless. I don't know if so he was still married at the time. So it's disgusting on his part as a married man. It's disgusting on her part knowing that he is married. And as a boss, it's just not something that you should be engaging with your subordinate. But these are the hypocrites that we're dealing with. I mean, Boris Johnson, the Conservative Prime Minister, was a whole baby daddy. I think he had no choice but to marry her. Okay, so on to the next piece of news. A lot of, I think, is was it Bill Eugenie? I don't even know how to say that, but was it you that donated? Thank you if it was you, because I saw that somebody did, but I missed their name, so I'm sorry. And I think, gentle kisses. Did I thank you? So sorry if I'm missing any of you. It's not on purpose, guys and dolls. Yes. So, you've had a few what I think are leaks coming from the palace. Prince Charles pressured ministers to change the law. You've had another leak about the Scottish Government memo obtained by The Guardian reveals that it's almost certain draft laws have been secretly changed to secure the Queen's approval. And as Laura said on Twitter, the Queen has vetted 67 laws to exempt herself from them, but she's not vetted a single Tory attack on our human rights to protect the public from creeping fascism. What exactly is the Queen for, please? And if you talk to most royalists, they will tell you that the way in which the Tory government have been acting over the last, or specifically over the last 2 years, but even before that, this is what the Queen is there to protect us from. So why hasn't she been doing that? And then when you tell them that, they'll then turn around and say, well, if we didn't have the Queen, it would be even worse. So I think that a lot of people, or royalists anyway, it's like they're just stuck in this cult-like thinking. It's very difficult to justify the presence of not just a monarch, but their family, if the British public have to pay for them, and they're not only doing nothing for the British people, but they're changing laws to exempt themselves, and also pressuring ministers so that they can have more benefits to their estate. And I mean, I guess the Guardian one, that's their own investigative journalism, but I find the one about Prince Charles being pressuring ministers, and also the Prince Charles getting 1 million in cash. We'll get to that in a sec. I believe that those were leaks from Kensington Palace, because you're not going to tell me that these only just came out now, just randomly. In Missouri, the JP are keeping up with women's menstrual cycles since 2017. Yes, if you have a menstrual cycle app or a health app, delete it. Delete it immediately. Go and get a diary where you can track your menstrual cycle manually, because a lot of these companies, if you look into some of their investors, they're very much involved with selling data, and that includes to the government. So please get rid of your cycle app if you have one, because that data can be used against you. And also, if you're listening to this and you're a man, I saw online a lot of men are downloading the apps to mess up the data. And I love that. So if you're a man and you're listening to this and you want to help, download the app, start putting false data in, because that way, if we do that, then they're going to find it more difficult to keep on top of the data and to go through the data. So that was a very clever idea that somebody came up with for men to start downloading the apps to screw up the data. Joseph, Boris decided got a ring out of it. I hope it was worth the sacrifice. Some women, honestly, they don't care how vile the man is. They're just attracted to being with a powerful man. Doesn't matter how vile he is on the inside or on the outside. I mean, Boris doesn't even brush his hair. And honey, never me. Never me. I don't get it. But some women are like that. And yes, on to the 1 million in cash. You would think that Bitcoin doesn't exist, because please tell me why you would put 1 million in cash in a suitcase. Now, supposedly, this was for charities. That's what they're claiming. In which case, and this is one of 3 lots of cash, totaling 3 million. I mean, if this was for charity, why did it have to be hidden? So, because charity money isn't taxed as heavily. So, I don't know what this is about. It makes me very suspicious about the royals and their money situation, because for individuals that oversee a large estate and get a lot of taxpayer money and have a lot of private wealth, or supposedly are meant to have a lot of private wealth and a lot of land, it seems like they're always desperate for cash. And why is that? Why are people that are meant to have a lot of money anyway always desperate for cash? And then you've got the other royals, who are also always selling cash for honours and doing dodgy deals because they don't work, and I think in many ways are kept dependent on the royal system. So it's like, you're so desperate for anything that they give you because you can't get anything yourself. Boy. Anyway, on to this. William, who was having a go at a pub. When I saw this, I initially didn't think it was real, because I didn't think it was real in terms of, I thought it was staged, because I don't understand how, because it wasn't just William that was there. Kate was there. You can hear her in the background. Supposedly the kids were there. I haven't watched the full video, but supposedly the kids were there and they were out on a bike ride, and he had a confrontation with a photographer who was filming. What I can't understand is why a senior member of the royal family can be out with his kids without a protection officer near palace grounds, and a photographer can not only get as close as he was to William, but stay as close as he was. I also don't understand why William grabbed his phone and started calling, I'm assuming security, but it looked like he was a Karen who was calling for the manager. I don't understand why he didn't tell his children and wife to exit the situation and deal with the individual potential threat himself, because anything could have happened. I don't understand why his first instinct was to get his wife and children away from potential danger. But this is a guy who won't even help his wife up the stairs. He was screaming and yelling, saying, "Oh, why are you following my children? You followed us here." If this was staged, I can only assume that they were hoping it made him look, like a tough guy. He really didn't. And as Joanne and Zuzu said, bottom line, he put his family in a risky situation. And instead of behaving like a lion protecting his tribe, as Harry would have, He looked like a Karen calling the manager. The only thing missing was the tear. Oh, that's hilarious. And as Henry VIII said, this is the same man who gave a high-level staffer the nod to help the tabloid defend against the privacy lawsuit from Meghan. William is an incandescent mess. Watching William flounder the last few years, it becomes certain folks realise Harry was not only leaving, but that he wasn't coming back. The realisation that William was going to have to stand alone was probably not a good one. Charles used to visit Camilla without security. I think William got caught being somewhere he shouldn't in video. Well, that's not entirely true because he was with Kate and the kids. But it would have been incredibly suspicious if he wasn't with Kate and the kids. And as somebody else said, when Prince Harry complained about the toxic press paparazzi culture, the country lost their ish. Now Prince William has a moan, you suddenly understand invasion of privacy. Exactly. And there were articles about the palace releasing a statement and it's an invasion of privacy. Like, please. Now it's an invasion of privacy when it's William, but not when it was Meghan and Harry who were being hounded. Anywho, that's pretty much all I had for this session. If I've still got the energy, I will do a session on the Sovereign Grant later on, or potentially tomorrow. I'm going back tomorrow because there's a lot to say. I don't want to make this podcast too long. But thank you so much, you all, for your patience. Being patient while I was away. Let's get through your comments before we end the session. And thank you everyone for your super stickers and super chats. Sorry if I missed any of them. Sometimes it's difficult with the comments coming through so fast. Reba, I thought for the royal family are political. I guess not exactly. Thank you so much to the mods also. Cookies and cream, hello. Everyone that's on social media, please keep royal family live trending. The unroyal family needs to realise the bogus bullying report. We have to keep calling these ghastly people. Yeah, if the palace hasn't already gotten a call from Meghan's lawyers, they will be getting one. Because they should be made to release that report. The report that never was. It is truly vile. And they've really spun a web of lies that they can't spin themselves out of. B10 Power, Dr. says Charles accepting in cash is not to leave a paper trail, hence tax implications. That is also true. But then you can also do that with Bitcoin or any other what do you call it? Cryptocurrency. So even the streets know that. Hashtag team money laundering. Yes, Dilly, total Karen. Joyce, the William video, don't know about it. It looks like another stage scheme to me. I think so. That's what I thought. Sandy, her lawyers are laying the foundations for an investigation if she suicides herself. Indeed. Very smart on their part. Sandy's referring to Ghislaine Maxwell, if you're just joining us, by the way. He was sentenced to jail. B10 Power Charles is a crook. He is indeed. Miss P talks. This was a setup because he wants publicity. If he wants publicity, shouldn't he be focusing on his earthworm? Should he be focusing on that? Patty J, something's not right about that video. I think so too. Sweetie, the confrontation was a failed acting attempt for Coronation Street. Do you know what? I actually think he might actually deserve a BAFTA after all for that act. I think some people will be convinced. Hidden Beauty, Charles is a corrupt old fool. The thing is, why is he a corrupt old fool though? Because doesn't the Duchy of Cornwall and the Duchy of Lancaster bring in a lot of money? So why do they need more money? Ginger Lily, I see your comment about the costs, but I'm going to do that in another podcast. I think it deserves its own podcast. All right, everybody. That is all for today. Thank you so much for your patience. Thank you, mods, as always. Thank you for your generosity, as always. I'm going to go have some like ginger tea or something. I'm feeling quite ill for some reason. And it's just been a really, really long month and I'm just exhausted. Anyway, I will see you in the next podcast, lovelies. Ciao.
I know I messed it up, but in my soul, I feel a love for you that's out of control. Sometimes I feel like I can make you whole. I just can't change my emotions. There isn't anything I wouldn't do to prove that everything I say is true. And if you let me, I'll keep loving you. I just can't change my emotions. Come on, love me again. You're all I need. Can you love me again? Love me. Come on, love me the way you did. I just can't change my emotions. Baby, I know this might sound insane.